Hello and welcome to the Scatterable channel, and today I'm going to show you part 1 of how to build a streaming setup from start to finish. So if you clicked on this video and you're just overwhelmed with how much there is that goes into a streaming setup, like with all the different audio, monitors, cameras, microphones, and all that stuff you are just like overwhelmed with, and you're like, man, I wish there was somebody that could simplify all this information for me into a single video, then this video is for you. All this information you're about to see today has been gathered from my own research for actually parting out my own streaming setup that you see right here, because I am streaming on Twitch now, which is twitch.tv/scattervault. So within doing all that research, I went ahead and specifically for this video, I'm going to be covering the different streaming encoders that are out there, the audio, especially with microphones, the different camera and lighting options that you can play around with, and then going to maybe the different types of monitors you may want to look into, and then finishing out with some recommended streaming peripherals that can enhance your streaming experience. And yes, this is part 1 because part 2 is going to be covering the tutorial end of how to build a streaming setup, because everything you see here, I am going to have to dismantle and actually put into my personal gaming PC setup to the right of me, which you can't see. So in doing so, I got to reset up everything and basically show you guys from start to finish how I did it. And then in part 3, I'm just going to be covering the gaming PC or streaming PC portion of how to spec out the most optimal computer for streaming. Because I know for a lot of my subscribers, you guys love my PC builds, and I'll definitely be getting a dedicated PC build guide to just that. So if you want to see those videos, you might want to subscribe and click the bell notification button. Now with that all out of the way, here's a quick word from our sponsor. So a part of this streaming setup video, I've actually teamed up with GlassesUSA for the spiffy pair of Ray-Ban blue light filtering glasses, which I picked out on their website out of the different features that I wanted, like the blue light filtering option, and then of course made sure that it fit my face with their virtual try-on tool, all of which was kind of easy and fairly quick to do. And the reason why I bring them up is because for a lot of you who are going to be streaming, digital eye strain is an issue. And you can't go without more than, say, 4 hours of streaming without getting some sort of fatigue from staring at a blue light filtering screen all the time. And if you don't have a blue light filtering option on your monitor, you may want to invest in a pair of glasses like these. So luckily, GlassesUSA is offering all of you watching this video up to 65% your first pair of blue light filtering glasses using the link at the very top of the description, as well as the other links that you see below it, which are kind of covering the other different glasses that I've shown here throughout this video. So if you're interested in checking them out, I'll have all that at the top of the description. All right, streaming encoders. Which one should you go with? So right now there are 2 popular options out there, those being X264 and NVIDIA NVENC. So X264 is a CPU-based encoder that will work with any Intel or Ryzen CPU, and then NVENC is the NVIDIA graphics card-based encoder that only works with NVIDIA graphics cards. So between the 2 encoders, NVENC is generally across the board going to give you better streaming encoding performance than X264 up until a certain point. That point being a $4,000 AMD Threadripper processor with 32 cores and 64 threads, which there's absolutely no way an RTX 20 Ti is going to match that thing in terms of encoding performance with its NVENC encoder. But none of you watching this video are probably going to buy that CPU. But say you're still debating between the 2 types of encoders and which one to use for your stream. Well, I've went ahead and simplified the process for you, and if your stream is going to look like this, then I'd say the X264 encoder will do a good enough job, because you're most likely going to be a budget PC gamer, and for your budget gaming PC, you want to emphasize gaming performance to show off the skills that you have in your Battle Royale or whatever game at the highest degree. Because for the moment, AMD graphics cards do offer more frames per second for the money than NVIDIA graphics cards, with the exception of the GTX 1650 Super. Either way, if your streams are going to look like that, you're probably going to be rocking like 2 to 3 viewers at most, because you don't have any sort of built up channel yet, and you probably can't even utilize Streamlabs, XSplit, or OBS all the way because you aren't that experienced with it. So if you're in that boat, don't feel ashamed to go with X264. Its streaming encoding quality is still going to do really great, especially if you have a 6-core Ryzen or Intel processor. But if your streams are going to look like this, Oh! Who got second? Yes! Oh, Ryan, holy mama, that was good. Then you might want to go with NVENC because you're working with 10 plus scenes, a lot of graphics, a lot of effects, a lot of alerts, a lot of everything, and you are clearly a streaming veteran and you deserve that NVENC encoder, like what I did with my Forza Horizon 4 streams. Anyways, besides encoder talk, I will be covering more about the gaming PC specifically in part 3 of this video series, but just to satisfy your needs, I guess, or curiosities behind what sort of PC should you use for a streaming setup, I would at least just make sure that there's at least 16 gigabytes of RAM and that your graphics card has 2 forms of display outs on the back of the card. So that could be like an HDMI port, a display port, whatever. Just make sure you have 2 forms of output so that we can hook up 2 monitors to your PC, because trying to stream off of 1 monitor is going to be rough. Now, audio. What is out there for a streaming setup and what should I look into? Well, for the most part, the difference between speakers and headsets should be pretty self-explanatory. If you're going to be doing a streaming setup, you probably want headphones because you don't want sound from your speakers to be entering your microphone. So there's that, but there are different types of microphones you can play around with for a streaming setup like this. You have XLR microphones, which boast the best audio quality by far, but are going to be the most expensive because these can't just straight up hook into your PC. They need to have some sort of audio interface like a mixer, like the Go XLR Mini, or a USB to XLR adapter like the Blue Icicle. Now, after that, there are USB microphones, which can also get you some really awesome audio quality, and they can hook up right to your PC since they hook over USB. And then finally, after that, there are your basic standard analog microphones that come on, say, a gaming headset that can plug right into your PC again, but through the audio jacks in the front or in the back. And they are generally the cheapest option as well. So for reference, you are welcome to take your streaming setup and its audio quality as far as you want. What I have here is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, this Rode Podmic that I have right now is $100, connected to this boom arm, which is another $100, with this XLR cable, which was like $11. And then it went into this Go XLR Mini, which is kind of overkill for a mixer, which was $250. And I'm listening to all of this through Corsair Virtuoso SEs, and all that totals to $650, which, believe it or not, is not actually that expensive compared to what some streamers are using right now. And now this is an $80 gaming headset, specifically the Fnatic React. And if you like how this sounds, it's not $650, it's $80. So this is just to emphasize that you don't need to spend a buttload of money to sound good on your stream. You can get something like this, which I'll have it linked in the description below, and you can sound really good as well. Just make sure that you have a good microphone, nothing too crappy, unless you're going with like that super overblown ear rape microphone aesthetic, which if you're into that, sure, whatever. But anyways, this is just to bring home the point that you don't need to spend a ton of money for the audio on your streaming setup. You are welcome to take the audio quality for how you sound as far as you want. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that if you do want to control the audio levels of your stream without doing it through Streamlabs, OBS, or XSplit on the software end, you can actually do it, of course, through a mixer like this, where you can control your microphone, chat audio, music, and system audio all through a physical mixer like this, and not have to go like into Streamlabs or OBS and do it through the software. It's kind of nice to have these physical controls here if you need to do anything on the go. And also, of course, going with a mixer like this, you have cool little nifty features like this where you can just cuss the and no one's gonna know. So yeah. Next up, let's talk about camera and lighting options for your streaming setup, which technically you don't need this. I mean, you can get away with streaming without showing your face on stream, but in my personal opinion, it really disconnects the viewing experience between you and your viewer if you don't show your face on stream. And really the only exception I can think of that would cause you not want to show your face on stream is if you're playing a game like Fortnite, which is just a really embarrassing game in general, especially on PC. And that'd be an instance where I probably wouldn't want to even show my face on stream. Anyways, for cameras, there are 4 main types out there. You have DSLR cameras, like what I'm using right now, which is this Canon T7i, which I have hooked up physically with an Elgato Camlink to my PC. And next up, again, you have other DSLR cameras, but you can hook them up wirelessly to your PC, like other Canon cameras, but use a webcam utility to receive the signal from your camera to your PC wirelessly, which may not grant you the sharpest video quality, but still a lot better than like a basic USB webcam, which is the next part. So you also have USB webcams, which you can actually make look really nice with some nifty tricks, because I know Hellas Heller actually made a USB webcam look really nice in one of his recent videos. So you can get away with some good video quality with those, but those are going to be a lot cheaper than DSLR cameras, especially if you're using a physical connection with like an Elgato Camlink. And then finally, you can get away with using your phone as a webcam for streaming, which I'm not too exact on how to do that. Again, I know Harris Heller did it in one of his recent videos, which I'll be linking his videos below as well if you want to check those out. But you can actually use your phone as a webcam, which might grant you better streaming quality than a webcam. So there's a lot of ways to show your face on stream. So don't make an excuse if you don't have any sort of webcam. There's a lot of options you can play around with depending on your budget. Now for lighting, and I have these two toys right here, which you can't see, but I'm working with Elgato Key Light Airs. Now these are really cool because I can on the fly change the lighting, like the color and the amount of brightness on the go through my computer without having to do it physically, like on the actual lights themselves, which is really awesome. They're also lightweight and don't produce as much light to like heat you up. So that's really good if you're gonna be streaming a long time and you don't wanna look super sweaty on stream. So that's another cool feature with lights like these. But of course, if you don't have those, you can use like the light in your room or a lamp on your desk, or just not have a light at all and pull off a dark, scary aesthetic, I guess. Now, monitors, which really you can't go wrong with any monitor choice you choose, because ultimately the monitors that you're gonna be choosing for your streaming setup are gonna dictate how well you game and show off that game on your stream to your viewers. So you can go with like a 60 hertz, 144 hertz, 165 hertz, 120 hertz, 240 hertz, 1080p, 1440p, 4K, whatever. It does not matter the type of monitor you choose for a streaming setup. Just make sure you get at least two, and that the one that you get can allow you to game at your full capacity, or whatever that capacity is according to you. That is why here for this streaming setup, I'm working with 2 GB G27QCs because they're curved, so they present this really nice viewing angle of my dual monitor setup here, which is really easy to look at and isn't angular because they're curved. They're also 27 inches, which is, I think, the best size for like a dual PC or dual monitor streaming setup because they're not too big, but not too small. They're also 1440p, so they provide better video quality than 1080p. They're also 165 hertz, so that's a higher refresh rate that would probably be the most I ever want to look into for a 1440p monitor, which will provide me that liquid smooth gameplay on my end, which will allow me to play the best for my viewers whenever they're watching on their computers on their end. So in the end, these monitors you see right here are going to allow me to play at my full capacity and will be convenient and good enough for a dual monitor setup for actually streaming. But no, you don't have to go super overkill with your monitors. Like I said, you can totally fulfill this role with 2 1080p 60 hertz monitors. You can again just take the monitors as far as you want, depending on what you want to game on. And now let's close out the video with different streaming peripherals you might want to consider for your streaming setup. And first, I want to start off with the Elgato Streamdeck. This thing I think is a necessity, even if you can't invest in a high quality camera or audio or whatever. A Stream Deck has made my overall streaming experience so much better because I can click all these different scenes for my stream and they can just seamlessly transition to these different viewing points, and it's just so easy to do, and the Stream Deck has made it very nice. And also, specifically for my Forza Horizon 4 streams, I've hooked up my Spotify playlist to this thing actually, and I can play custom music like so here I have the Forza Motorsport 4 menu music. This is what I play to kind of like set the mood for my viewers before we race, like on this race day planner here. But then if we're actually racing and I want to really get the excitement going, I can play some Eurobeat. And if I want to get off the Eurobeat really quickly, I can play some Russian hard bass. That's when we play S1 Rally. We always play that music when we do Rally. Anyways, you can hook up your Spotify with it. It's just a really cool thing to have. I would definitely recommend a Stream Deck for your streaming setup, even if they cost a little bit much. But that's where I'd probably get a used one for a lesser price. Now, another thing you might want to consider is an external capture card. Say if you're capturing video footage from a console, because while consoles do have their own built-in streaming capabilities, they aren't good. So you probably want to use a PC to stream your console off of, which that's where an external capture card like the Elgato 4K60S or HT60S can come in handy. The 4K60S in particular is probably going to be the best for next-gen consoles like the PS5 and Xbox Series X, since those can output up to 4K and You may want to have native 4K for your actual playing experience, but then of course stream in like 1080p to Twitch. So that'd be a super nice thing to have. And also with that card in specific, you can actually record to an SD card, which is really dope. And you don't even have to actually like hook it up to a computer if you don't want to stream. You can just like record it offline. But anyways, that's a really nifty capture card. But if you don't need anything that expensive, the HD60S can do a good enough job on its own for being a lot cheaper. You can also use an external capture card for a dual PC setup. So like if you're going to have your gaming on one PC, but then have your streaming done on the other, that's where a capture card would come in handy as well, which in my opinion, you don't need two PCs to stream unless you're like a top tier streamer and you need like the absolute most video encoding quality for your viewers. Another thing you might want to consider is a green screen, like this Elgato green screen, where you can put it behind your A-roll or your main camera and immerse yourself in the stream with using some chroma key on like Streamlabs or OBS. But if you want to use it for like a way to show off your room in its cleanest state while having it actually dirty behind it, you can take a photo of your clean room and make it look like it's clean all the time on your stream when really it's just super dirty, or do some other cool nifty tricks to make your stream look a lot more professional. Like if you're playing in your room and it looks super boring, you could spruce it up with like a custom background. And now another streaming accessory I would really take into consideration, again, are blue light filtering glasses, because they will filter the blue light coming from your monitors, which would be super nice if you're streaming at night and you actually want to fall asleep whenever you finish streaming. Having these glasses will prevent that blue light from entering your eyes and will help you and your body and its natural circadian rhythm fall to sleep at its natural time, rather than having to stay up and not fall asleep, which is not fun. So getting it from a vendor like GlassesUSA would be really awesome, which again, I have their glasses and their website at the top of the description. And finally, let's close out with the keyboard and mouse, which really, whatever you go with for your keyboard and mouse is not gonna affect your streaming experience. All it's gonna affect is your gaming experience, which will be projected to your viewers. So go with whatever option is most comfortable to you. For my streaming setup, I actually chose the K95 and Corsair Dark Core RGB because with the K95 RGB Platinum, you actually get these extra G keys, which can also act as Elgato Stream keys. So that's another nifty little feature to that keyboard that adds some extra value to its really high price tag. And also you can control your media functionality as well, because you have these little multimedia keys here on the very right. And finally, for the mouse, again, just choose whatever you like and you'll pretty much be good to go. And that is it for my first part for how to build a streaming setup. And all the stuff I've talked about today can be found in the description below if you want to check out the links to the actual parts that I use to spec out this streaming setup that you see right here. But of course, you're welcome to make your own, hopefully through my information that I provided throughout this video. So if you enjoyed it, consider subscribing and liking this video, because this is part 1. I want to make sure that part 2 and part 3 are really good as well. Also, check out my streams. I'm streaming every Monday and Wednesday from 7 p.m. CST to 10 p.m. CST. So that's going to be in the evening for a lot of you guys watching, but unfortunately for your European viewers, that's going to be too late for you, but I'm sorry, boohoo. Anyways, I'll have that also linked in the description below, along with these glasses that I've been using to talk to you guys today with, these blue light filtering glasses from GlassesUSA, along with the other links to the other glasses you saw at the very start of the video at the top of the description. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and this is the Scoutable channel, signing out.